Well, it's almost time then to wrap all of this up. The RaceRoom Ranked Championship Season 1 of 2023 is about to come to a close, of course, in the climax of the GT3 Pro Series. We head to the Nordschleife, as we have done for the last couple of weeks in the other championships, and we get ready to crown a champion. Luciano Wittfer at the top of the championship, ahead of Marius Zabdir and Marvin Mackenberg. A tight title race heading into this final one, which presents itself a very different challenge. Now, through the season, I've been joined by Ewan O'Leary, I've been joined by Darragh Thacker, I've even been joined by Cameron Roger, which makes sense then for the season finale to be joined this time by one Mr. Zach Sweeney as we head to the Nordschleife. I mean, it's a fun track, it's a great track, it's a difficult one. You commentated on it obviously a little while ago. It presents a very different challenge compared to what we've seen before in this season.
Yeah, it does. It is finally my turn for the season finale. It's been a long wait, but I'm here for the GT3s. Have been absolutely loving following this championship. And yeah, this is the climax. And what a venue to come to, as you say. The Nordschleife, such a difficult circuit. There's a reason why it's dubbed the Green Hell. You know, you've got barriers left, right and centre. You've got zero margin for error. It's such a mountain of a circuit that you really have to accomplish, especially in these GT3 cars, because these are quick things. These are tricky cars to drive as well. But we've had 3 races, we've had 3 different winners. What's to come in the finale?
Yeah, you can see the track information here. I mean, obviously it's been around now for just coming up to 100 years. Obviously we're a little shy of that, just 4 years before we get its 100th anniversary. It's a circuit which is most noted by the fact of all the corners and all of the serious undulation. There is so much up and down around the circuit, what makes it so good. The corners section on that is very much arguable. It says 73. I mean, the number of what people classify the corners around here is somewhere between 70 and over 130, and honestly, there is no official number. That is how crazy this place is. Obviously, the season that we've had so far, obviously we end this here in the Nürburgring. We've been to the Czech Republic twice with Autodrome Most, where we opened up the championship. We were at Brno just a couple of weeks or a few weeks ago. We've also been to Road America throughout the season, all of which have produced some great races, all of which have produced different races. And Zach, I'm going to ask you, what's been your favourite track so far this season?
Oh, that's a tough one, to be fair, because as you say, they're all of them have been really good. Obviously, my predominant series was on the MX-5s with Cam, and that was a lot of fun. The one I enjoyed the most was Brno, because you know, the racing that we had there, obviously, no surprise, Brno wasn't a circuit I was overly familiar with going into it, but I still enjoyed myself a ton. It was a really fun, fast-flowing track. It was actually the one you come and join me with as well. So, you know, there's an added bonus.
It's true. That's why it's better.
That is why it's better, because I didn't have Cam. No, it's fine. But I really enjoyed it, and also, you know, tuning back on the GT3s and the KTMs as well. They also had some really intriguing races to indulge in. So it's been a really successful season. I'm looking forward to what we got coming up soon as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say it's been fun. I like Autodrome Most. It's something that we don't see that often. All 4 of those circuits are just so vastly different, and it also kind of begs the question to a little bit. And this is a little bit to throw out to everyone watching. There will be a season 2 of the Racing Rank Championship in 2023. Where do you think we will be racing? I want to put down, everyone put down some great suggestions of where you think we should be racing next season. We'll have a little bit more of a discussion about that later on through the broadcast. Of course, here we can see the cars that we'll be racing with this evening, as it has been all season. The Audi R8, the BMW M4, Bentley Continental, Callaway Corvette, Ferrari 488, the McLaren 720, Mercedes-AMG GT3, and the Porsche 911 GT3. That's a 2019 spec. Of course, we have recently had the Porsche pack come out with the 2023 spec. It's not in this race because obviously this is the grid that was locked in before the season started. So, I mean, I kind of like it. Again, you know, I'm going to ask, what car would you pick out of this grouping, out of this selection? There is a right answer.
I'm going for the Macca. Is that the wrong one? That's the wrong answer. Yours is the BMW, I think.
No.
Is it not? Wow, okay.
No. You don't know me at all.
No, you like the Callaway, right?
I do like the Callaway.
Yeah, that's the one. I like the McLaren because just look at it. It's just, mwah. Chef's kiss. Beautiful car.
I don't know. We'll agree to. I think the 650 is a better looking car than the 720. I'm just going to say that. But the 720 is just, I don't know. Anyway, we're not going to get too much into the discussion of that because I do have a few things before we get into qualifying, which is underway. We'll have a little bit of a look as to how things are, and we'll discuss where things will be. We're going to have a little bit of a look at the entry list and a discussion as to what we can confirm a little bit about the second season of the RaceRoom Ranked Championship. You can see all these fantastic entries. Of course, Luciano Vitford, the points leader coming into this, and fairly comfortably so. Does not mean it's a guarantee. He's 9 points clear, but when you get 50 points for a race victory, still needs to deliver here, and you can see him switching up to to a lovely Rockets livery. You'll like that one especially because your fascination with James Baldwin. 720. He'll be taking Mari Zabdir, obviously another driver to keep an eye on, as is Marvin Mackenberg. And I'm sure we'll get a fair amount of assistance from Sven Mackenberg and maybe even a fair amount from Yuval Rose. And Julian Kunze returns as well. Definitely a driver to keep an eye on. And you can see Mari Zabdir up there as well. Definitely looking to secure himself the 2023 Season 1 Championship. Let's talk a little bit then about what we can confirm. So Season 2 of the RaceRoom Ranked Championship will return in October. That is not very far away. Of course, we're in September now, but it will return in October. Because of that, because of how it will work, be a kind of a similar length season as to what we have here. There will be a short break around Christmas. Of course, so awkwardly, the Season 2 2023 Championship will actually finish in 2024 in January. That's all I'm going to say now. We'll touch on the other bits a bit later on through the broadcast. You want a little couple of snippets here and there. I think we should probably take a little look at how things are standing in qualifying though, Zach, because with there being 9 minutes left to go, there's only time for everyone to do one more lap.
Yeah, so RaceRoom it's not the most lenient of systems in qualifying. Essentially, that time it's X0, session's done. There's no, oh, wait for me to finish my lap, or, oh, I'm purple in, 3/4 of the lap, I'm going really quick, can you let me finish? Nah, mate. Soon that time it's X0, that is session done and dusted. So you really do have to time your lap really well, and with it being a near 8-minute lap in these GT3 cars, yeah, you're only going to get one more in. So you better make it count, especially those that haven't, quite been able to get themselves maybe more towards the front. Mari Zabdir is one of them. You can see the pole there in 8th place, fielding the Chevrolet Callaway, which is, good job. I know he does like that car. He's fielded it in a number of the RaceRoom ranked events. But today, of all days, is a round where he essentially needs to win if he wants any chance of winning the championship. The gap between himself and Luciano Wittfurt, it's 1-2-1 to 1-1-2, therefore a 9 points deficit. So ideally, Mari Zabdir needs to win, with Luciano Wittfurt being 3rd or lower, and that is going to be a tough ask. He's just under 3.5 seconds off pole position time set by Julian Kunze. I think the pole might need to find just that little bit more in terms of lap time to start this race on a high.
Yeah, certainly so, but obviously everyone's lap times they're setting here. Just to clarify, by the way, how the qualifying session works, it's half an hour session. Now, normally, when we get to this point in the qualifying session, there's actually not too much in terms of change, because everyone's already done sort of 5-10 laps. They've kind of almost already reached their maximum. There might be an odd tenth or two here, a little bit there. That's not how it works around here. By this point, quite a lot of people might have only put in a banker lap, people that are out of position. Let's take a look at some of them. You've got Vigneron, you've got Luciano Wittfurt, you've got Sven Mackenberg down in 16th place. There's a few drivers that are out of position, and it's probably because they've only put in a little bit of a banker rather than an actual lap time that is seriously representative of those at the top. So we can see here our championship leader working his way through. What do you think's going through his mind right now? Do you think he's feeling the pressure a little bit? Obviously, points leader, fair enough. But he's still kind of got to be near enough to beating Marvin Mackenberg and Mari Zabdir. If not, he can only be like a position or two behind.
Yeah, well, the thing with Luciano Wittfurt, anyone that has been following the MX-5 Cup and the KTM GTX Trophy, Luciano Wittfurt has been in the championship fight for both of those championships, and he's in the fight for this one as well. So he's had a really strong season. The good thing about the 2023 ranked championships is that you can participate in all three. You're not just limited to the one like we saw over the course of 22. But Luciano Wittfurt, he disconnected in the MX-5 Cup, which lost him that championship. The KTMs went the way of Enzo Filipao, so he lost that championship. This is essentially his last chance. He's had 3, well, he's had 2 up till now. This is his last one. So I'm sure in some capacity, that's going to be playing on his mind. The fact he's in 13th place, probably going to be playing on his mind. And the fact that the 2 people closest to him in the championship are ahead of him, also going to be on his mind. But, having spoken to Luciano Wittfurt quite a number of times, having, gotten a little bit of insight and, being commentating on him on a number of different championships, on a couple of platforms as well, he's not a driver that really cares too much about pressure. He's the driver that really thrives under it, and is going to find a way to push his way forward. Again, consistency is going to be the name of the game. Yes, the Nürburgring Nordschleife not going to be overly plentiful in terms of overtaking, but we do go onto the GP loop. I'm sure that's where going to be where Wittfurt is going to make up some of that time, picking his way through as Sebastian Rey moves his way ahead of Mari Zabdir. But yeah, Vitfoot maybe is going to potentially start this race on the back foot, but I don't think it's going to be the end of it. I still think he is in very, very strong contention, especially that he's got that buffer to fall back on.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Purple first, purple second from Julian Kunze. He's now made his way into the third sector. You can see Mariusz Zabdir's sectors being around about a second, probably even about a second and a half at this point, behind Julian Kunze's current time being that 7:53.1. But of course, Kunze is going faster. Yuval Rosen also in the mix for that. A couple of improvements as well coming from Roland Sen, who's way out of position, being all the way down the order in 26th place. We'll see Mariusz Zabdir come through the legendary YouTube corner up towards the ice curve, and then flats guard and that. I mean, I love this corner. Although the only thing that I really fear with this corner is when I was there at the Nürburgring the first time, which was 2018, when it was actually for a RaceRoom event in person, a Ford GT40 binned it there, and I've never forgiven the corner for it, because that's just, seeing the video footage of that, you're like, oh, that's a priceless car in the barrier, completely gone.
Right, yeah, written off. What a beautiful car as well, just to put, essentially. But I suppose it does prove a lot about the Nürburgring and its challenges, and how that if you give it the chance, it will chew you up and it will spit you out. It's been a circuit that's been notorious in history for, a number of crashes and a number of mistakes, and just being that circuit that, every driver fears, every driver, I suppose, using that fear, I suppose it's the one that everyone wants to conquer, but it is just a difficult circuit, and I can understand your frustration, Lewis, because the Ford GT40 it's a wonderful car.
It's a classic. It's an absolute classic. To be honest, I couldn't even believe it was on track. But each to their own. So let's talk about the session at hand then. Julian Kunze's session is done. Colin Blankenberg's session basically done. 3 minutes and 14 seconds left to go before we move into the season finale race. Mikiewicz is actually improving in that thing. Luciano Vitfoot improving. So for the top three in the championship, things are looking good for a positive movement in the leaderboard. The first we'll see across the line will be Mariusz Zabdir. He'll head his way towards the line, looking to improve from 10th, and he does so. Goes up to 7th position and moves comfortably inside the top 10. Could well be moved out courtesy of his championship rivals, Marvin Mackenberg and Luciano Vitfoot. Look at how close that battle is, by the way, for pole position, because as much as Kunze and Blankenberg are done, Mikiewicz is still on his time and is going faster, and is only 0.3 off at the moment. This could be big for Mikiewicz to potentially take one over Julian Kunze.
Could very well be. Hungary as a country has been looking really, really strong in the ranked championship this season, and that's been notorious, the case over all three championships. It's now the case here in the GT3s. Mikiewicz, only a little bit of an improvement, but that is very close. Again, considering how long and how many corners there are at this circuit, whatever the number ends up actually being, to be only a quarter of a tenth of a, 3/4 of a tenth of a second quicker on your lap time is really impressive. The fact that only 0.3 of a second is the difference between pole and third place is absolutely insane. Mikiewicz has got, well, to be fair, quite a long time left to finish the lap, but quite a large amount of that is the Duttinger-Hohe, that long back straight. So he's only, in theory, only got a couple more corners left to improve himself. That very important run, that long right hand that leads you onto it as well, probably going to be one of the biggest time losses or time gains in this final part of the lap. But it's looking good. Let's see if he can keep it hooked up.
I believe we've got Luciano Vitfoot, who's on the Duttinger-Hohe now. Also, Sven Mackenberg is just coming down into the final complex at Tiergarten, so we might well see an improvement from the German as he heads his way up towards the line. There is Marvin Mackenberg going up towards Tiergarten. Sven Mackenberg improves to 12th then, so moves Luciano Vitfoot slightly further down. Brother Marvin Mackenberg comes up towards the line. Championship leader a fair way behind them, second in the championship in 7th place at the moment. Make that 8th, because Marvin Mackenberg puts one over Mariusz Zabdir. Here comes Luciano Vitfoot then, trying to improve in his championship rivals. He needs to get close to them now as he comes up towards the line. Is it good enough for the top 10? Only just 10th place is all it will be for him. Mikiewicz was not able to challenge for pole position, which means the final one of the season goes the way of Kunze. Blankenberg will start on the front row alongside Mikiewicz, Rosen, Lapanik, Kunze, then head the championship rivals. Marvin Mackenberg, Marius Zabdir in 7th and 8th, Rui Felipe in the middle of all of that, and Luciano Wittfurt just about inside the top 10. An important improvement there, Zach, for our championship leader.
Very much so. It puts him, within sight of those he's fighting with. Marvin Mackenberg heading the way of the bunch, but all three of them, they've got places to gain. Yes, they're all close together, but they all collectively need to move forward in order to score some good points. I suppose Luciano Wittfurt is the only one that can kind of take his time, but yeah, a very important lap to get himself inside the top 10, just to be able to, be there, put some pressure on his championship rivals, that sort of thing. But I'm sure Wittfurt is not going to settle with 10th. He's going to move his way forward. I do feel a little bit bad, though, for Rui Felipe, the man from Portugal, being in the middle of all that, because I have a feeling it's going to get a little bit spicy.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, I mean, I think we're in for a bit of a thrilling season finale here. Of course, we've been discussing those top three as being the main championship rivals, but I will say Philip. I was going to say Philip Dryce is the only one that's actually close enough. Mikko Lapanik also in that mix, but no, not really. So it is really just those top three. Luciano Wittfurt has the full advantage when it comes to the points, but as we've all just seen there, is starting a fair way behind. So there are a few concerns in all of that. We will be jumping into the race in just a moment. I am just going to say I'm going to drop another little cheeky season 2 tease here, that season 2 will see one class from season 1. What do we think it's going to be? Let us know in the chat, which means that one of the championships, the GT3 Pro Series, the KTM, the MX-5s, one of those will be a returning feature in Season 2 of 2023. You'll have to let us know what you think it will be. It's season finale time. Lewis McLean, Zach Sweeney in the commentary room getting ready to bring you that championship finale with Kunze on pole position. We are underway here at the Nürburgring for an hour of thrilling racing as they all duck and dive and weave their way down towards the first corner. Kunze with the outside line. We'll have Blankenberg looking to the inside in the race down towards that first corner. It'll be advantage Blankenberg. Oh, and there's contact there. Yuval Rosen sending his way in right onto the nose of Kunze. That was very, very sketchy indeed, and is classic for turn 1 of the Nürburgring.
It's caused huge carnage as well. You can see Sven Mackenberg struggling. There's more spins. That's Marvin Mackenberg round. He's had a spin at turn 2. He finds himself tumbling his way to 28th place, and that is absolutely huge for the championship. Looking at the other two, Marius Zabdir, Luciano Wittfurt able to pick their way up inside the top 5, but continuing the carnage further back. It's absolute mayhem in the opening, third of the opening lap.
Yeah, just a little too aggressive into that first corner from the black Porsche of Yuval Rose. In here we've got the defensive move from Villacrevi on Tokar. Also you got Obratowin in all of that. As things stand championship-wise, Marius Zabdir and Luciano Wittfurt, they're not separated by much, but it would be Wittfurt taking the championship. They've both gained quite healthily over that first lap, and it just shows as to why they are the ones in contention for this championship. Unfortunately for Marvin Mackenberg and Sven Mackenberg, well, for Marvin, that's race done for the championship.
Yeah, he's got an hour. Cool. It's not going to be enough. It's going to be nowhere near enough. Of course, these guys do have a mandatory pit stop in which they have to take at least 2 tyres. That can either be the front axle or the rear axle. They can choose which one they're going to take, but they do have to take a pit stop at some point. It's what separates the GT3s from the other 2 championships. But even with all that considered, I do not see Mackenberg finishing. I mean, he might work his way into the top 15, into the top 10, but I do not see him being able to topple either Zabdir or Wittfurt in the championship. What it does mean is that Zabdir still has got a lot of ground to gain if he wants to beat Wittfurt in the championship, and he has definitely got a firm grasp and firm control over the proceedings as Luciano Wittfurt. But that opening mayhem, you can't really put that down to a particular skill or a particular characteristic of a driver, because it was, for some, just either the wrong place at the wrong time or the right place at the right time. Yes, experience has a little bit of a say as to trying to read the situation, but in that sense, you probably got a better chance of just closing your eyes and hoping.
I mean, especially if you've raced around the Nürburgring quite a lot, you'll know that you kind of don't want to be on the inside into the first corner, because when there is an inevitable crash, then you're in the middle of it That said, you don't really want to be on the outside either. There's pluses and minuses to both sides. And if you are on the inside, you want to scrub off. You want to brake early, scrub off more speed than you expect. So you can hook in so much tighter than you expect, basically getting out of everyone's way for the inevitable crash. Obviously, all these things depend on where you're racing, where you're starting. If you're starting on the left or the right, all those things are a little bit of experience. I mean, to be fair, Mary Sabdir and Luciano have both picked their way through it beautifully, but maybe it was a bit of a luck of the draw, maybe it was experience, maybe it, as is in most cases, a little bit of both. Colin Blankenberg, though, has gone, actually, quite fancy winning the season finale here in the GT3 Pro Series. Fine. And off he goes, 3 seconds clear of Mikiewicz. We're on board with Balázs Nagy looking backwards to Mariusz Zabdir. He's desperate to get on with this a little bit and maybe try and clear. We head up towards Miss Hit Miss, generally named because you missed the first apex, you tend to hit the second one, then you missed the final one, although that was miss, miss, miss from everyone.
Yeah, so maybe we need a change of corner name, but getting very close through a very tricky downhill sequence where you're turning and braking at the same time. Everyone through cleanly. Is often sometimes that you can see some bowling going on there, but everyone's been on their best behaviour. But yeah, Zabdir does need to find a way through. For those that are only just tuning in, the gap between the two of them is 9 points. They have both as Mariusz Zabdir's made a huge mistake. That said, thank you very much, Luciano Witt, but he picks his way past and he's in control now.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a tricky corner there as you start your rise up the hill through Exmuller. It can just really batter you. They go through Bergwerk now and then begin the rise all the way up towards Bravery Corner. Rui Felipe sat behind Mariusz Zabdir, and now Luciano Witt, who sat in the position he needs to if he is going to win this championship. If he's going to take the crown, there's still 55 minutes left to go, and I know Mariusz Zabdir is not going to take that one sitting down. You've got Villacrevi as well in tow, although Villacrevi's a little bit further back from Sebastian Ray, who's in a car that I know you and O'Leary will be very fond of. Almost a little bit of bump drafting there between the top two in the championship as they head through Bravery Corner. Luciano Witt looked a little slow there, Zach.
A little bit, and I think he's doing everything in his power to keep Zabdir behind. It's allowing Balázs Nagy to get away ever so slightly. But yeah, a little bit of a park on the apex. We've got a 4-car train here. I think Witt might just be trying to feed Zabdir to the pack of Felipe and Sebastian Ray as well. Going into the carousel for the first time, and a huge crash in the background. I think that's Obratal round.
Certainly is. Obratal having a couple of issues. There he is. Bang into the barrier on the front. He'll be able to stick it in reverse fairly soon. He's got to wait for so many to pass. There's a comfortable gap between Marvin and Sven Mackenberg, but yeah, that is not good for Obratal, who will head to the penultimate position on the grid, and I believe the last running driver as Lapanek is out. Once again, a look to the inside from Mariusz Zabdir and Luciano Witt taking out defensive line. I will say, I've been in the position that Luciano Witt has been in, not for a championship, but around here. Because I remember it in 2018 at the LAN event, 5 years ago. Yes, I'm old, fair enough. I was in a Mercedes around here, having to defend from the Audi R8 of Florian Haase for, I think it was something like 3 laps for the final spot on the podium. It's, to be fair, the best thing that you can do, especially when you're doing this bit, just drive your line. Just hit the apex. Just do what you're going to do as Julian Kunze starts his full-on recovery drive. 19th at the moment, behind Varga as they head up towards YouTube Corner.
Yeah, and Julian Kunze would be lovely to be in a better position for the highlights. Hopefully he will be in 53 minutes time, but yeah, definitely starting the road to recovery right here. And yeah, Varga first up on his list. He's going to have a good look to the left-hand side. That's brave for sure. The BMW definitely give him a good old squeeze. He very aggressively picks his way past over the curbs, but nonetheless up into 18th place. Next up is Byrne, 4 seconds clear, and that's the problem with the Nordschleife. You can very quickly have a very big spread. That
was naughty from Varga. I've got to say, Julian Kunze was there and comfortably there. Like, not even the, oh, he's there enough to demand something. But no, he was just there. He was just absolutely there. He was fully alongside and then was squeezed onto the curb. So a little naughty there from Varga, and there, Kunze makes his way up the order. Ornelas has had a bit of a problem ahead of all of this. I can only guess that's going into the Klein Carousel, maybe even Galgenkop, probably more likely into here, but it's clearly got back going again. They got towards Galgenkop, which I would argue is one of the hardest corners on this track, because it just constantly falls away from you. It's such high commitment, and it's actually really, really important to get right, because it leads you all the way down the Duttinger Hoa, which Blankenberg has absolutely nailed with epic mastery, and pulls himself 4.3 seconds clear in a single lap before continuing off into the sunset. He'll be in cruise mode already.
Yeah, I suppose. You can't get complacent around a circle like this, though, because it will bite you for it. You can't be wandering off. I would say maybe now is his time to, settle down a little bit, not push as hard. He's built the gap, now maintain it, I guess. But one mistake, 4 seconds can be gone in a snap of a finger. Bit of a fight here for the top 10 between the Swede and the Frenchman Avontis and Vigneron as we tick past the first lap here at Nürburgring Nordschleife. They've also got Ohag as well for company in this three-way fight for the top 10. Loose on of it, but though going in deep to turn number 1 on the GP loop. Marius Sabda immediately on that and waiting for his opportunity. He saw one, he's trying to strike.
Well, thankfully, we aren't running the absolute worst corner in the entirety of motorsport, courtesy of running the Mercedes Arena section. When you do that first turn, Ontis having a bit of an issue. But when you do that first corner into the second, when you're doing like the actual Nürburgring 24, you go through the right-hander and then into the left.
Oh no!
That left-hander gives me nightmares. I think it is the worst. Genuinely, I'm not joking. I think it's the worst corner in motorsport. I absolutely despise that left-hander. I think it's terrible. It should be. I mean, if anything, a little bit. It is a little bit of a skill issue, yeah. I mean, I just don't understand how one man can lose half a second in that corner and that way. We're not going to talk about that. It's fine. We're blaming the corner. We're blaming the corner of the track designer. The rest of the circuit is obviously one of the world's best. Certainly, runner-up to the world's best circuits.
Here we go. Yeah, good old Mount Panorama down under.
Yeah, of course,
Has it got anything to do with your very impressive drive around there a couple of years ago? Maybe, but I would agree it's definitely a good circuit. Definitely a good circuit. The Nürburgring is up there. And again, it's that balance, isn't it, between prestige and actually being a good circuit, which Bathurst and the Nürburgring have a good balance of both. So I would be inclined to agree.
Look, I'm on the same list as Max Verstappen.
That is true.
You know, just saying. And Enzo Benetton. And Dan Kelly.
The Dan Kell.
The Dan Kell, high-tech's engineer, Dan Kell. Yes. We'll not talk about that too much though, because otherwise, to be fair, if we say I'm on the same list as Max Verstappen, people take it one way or another, and it could be quite bad for me. We'll not talk about that either. Balazs in third position, still maintaining his defence over Luciano Bitford, Marius Sabda, and Marie Felipe. They've all pulled away a little bit for Sebastian Ray, who's coming under increasing pressure from the Porsche of Villacrevi. Inside the top 10, there's not too many battles. Outside it though, with Gaspar Misch and Florian Wüthrich. To be fair, Roland Sen's not too far off the rear end of that. Julien Kunz's closing in on it at a rapid rate of knots as he's pulled away from Christian Orban. Now there's a couple of gaps that are getting closer and others that are getting further away, most notably that one for the race lead. Again, you're absolutely right. The enemy for Blankenberg, and to some degree as well for Mikiewicz with that second place at the moment, the enemy for the pair of these two is complacency. That is the enemy. Thankfully, you've got one of the hardest tracks in the world to keep your eye very much on the prize.
Yes, you physically cannot space out at the Nürburgring because it's corner after corner after corner. Maybe in the Duttinger Hoa, it's a bit like, oh, this is a long straight and whatever. You start dozing off, thinking about what you're going to do for food after. I don't know. But for the most part of the Nordschleife, it is just one after the other. You are constantly under fire in terms of corners, having to concentrate. It's a lot of mental stress adding on to these guys, which could have a knock-on effect over the course of the remaining 48 minutes. But yeah, you're right. Their biggest enemy essentially is themselves at this rate. For Blankenberg especially, there's no one really that can stop him apart from him making his own mistake, unless Mikiewicz finds something that he can gain 5 seconds at, which, to be fair, at a long circuit at the Nordschleife, it's not a million miles away. It's not a tremendously huge gap. It can be closed down, but yeah, fundamentally I think it is going to be Blankenberg's to win as long as he can keep it nice and clean. However, we have got a very, very close fight in the fight for third between Noj, Witwer and also Marius Sabda. You've also got Rui Felipe only about half a second back on Marius Sabda as well. So the Hungarian really going to have to be taking your advice about keeping to his lines and not looking in his rearview mirror.
Now, I've said before, there is 9 points between this driver here, Mary Sabdir, who currently sits second in the standings, and Luciana Wittfert, our points leaders. Now, let's give this a worst case scenario. Let's say that Mary Sabdir is able to work his way to the front of this field and finishing third, and then Luciana Wittfert finishes in sixth, which is what Ruud Felipe has. Third is 40 points, okay, and sixth is 32. Which means that no matter what, at this point, if Luciano Wittfert remains in this battle here, he will win the championship. Whether he is third, fourth, fifth, or sixth, the title will be his, even if Mary Sabdir is in third, because that's only an 8-point swing, and obviously it needs to be 9, well, realistically, it needs to be 10. So things are looking even better for Luciano Wittfert, but do not count out the fact that Ruud Felipe and Sebastian Ray aren't Sebastian Ray and Willem Cravey, rather, aren't too far off the back of this. And also, Luciano Wittfert might get a little bit hungry for a podium here. And what happens when you do that? Well, you get a little bit ambitious with where you go for the win.
Yeah. So it depends how Wittfert wants to win this championship. Does he want to settle down, take a breather, chill, and just take fourth or fifth or sixth, whatever he ends up being in this train, and winning the championship? Because he could do that. Or is he going to be Luciano Wittfert and want as much as he can get? I think he will want the podium, naturally, but I do think maybe this time he might think more on his rational side and be a little bit more sensible. Just take the championship, because at the end of the day, that means more than a podium. He has been on the podium. He's been in the top 5 for every single round this season. I don't think he's going to need an extra podium if it means he gets the championship win. We have got a huge battle here, and Julian Kunze is going to be looking at this as free pickings, and, well, how many positions can he make up in the next half a lap?
Yeah, probably quite a few. As Ontis, they're a little... This is the problem, though. This is the real problem with racing around the Nordschleife. The pace differential between a top flight driver and people in the mid-pack and at the rear of the field. They're not bad drivers in the big mid-pack and the rear of the field, but the pace differential is so large. Nordschleife is one that, you know, we hear all the time about Nordschleife specialists, and we're starting to see exactly what this is all about as Julian Kunze trying to work his way past. You can visually see the pace differential between them, and that in itself has just cost Kunze, you know, what, half a second, 2 seconds, anything in that vein. It's costing him time every single, not, you know, lap that he's behind him, every single corner he is behind him. He's got so much confidence right now, and to be honest, he's probably sat there thinking, I've got nothing to lose here. It can be very, very stressful. Defensive line being taken from Ontis as we come up towards Schwabelschwanz, which is definitely said wrong, and I'm not going to correct it. It's fine. And up towards the Kleins Carousel. At this rate, he might only pick off the one on the Duttinger Hoa, and that's it.
Probably so, because it is just so single file. That's why defending around the Nordschleife is driving the racing line, because if you do that, chances are you really can't be overtaken. Here's Marius Sabdir, though, on the... oh, no, it's Ruud Felipe on the back of Marius Sabdir, putting the pole under a little bit of pressure, threatening his top 5. He's trying to get as much slipstream off his championship rival as he can. The Audi R8 waiting for his opportunity to pull out, because, of course, you don't want to do it too early. But that Corvette using its American power to pull it down the straight. Now, of course, as we run away in towards Tiergarten, has Felipe got the measure? I don't quite think so. Marius Sabdir, I think, got a little bit of a lucky escape with that one, because the last thing he wants in this train is to be moving backwards. Yeah,
I don't know if that was Ruud Felipe kind of lifting off a little bit, or maybe it was him just pulling out at the wrong time. But here we've got Julian Kunze, so he's got Bert behind him. He's still got Ontis ahead of him, and that was very scary indeed coming through that final sector. There is side-by-side ahead between Ontis and Sen, who now the Swede heads toward the front of the pack into the pit lane. Julian Kunze will come in a very tight drag race. Straight down on the brakes they'll go. Roland Sen in there, Julian Kunze in there, as well as I think Nico Kunze is the other one joining them in the pit lane. So they've reached this middle portion of the race, and we've said before about the mandatory pit stop in this race. They must take 2 tyres, whether it's front or rear, and they must take 2 of those tyres. A lot of these drivers pouncing early. For Julian Kunze, 100% the right call.
Yeah, he's going to get himself some clear air track to use, and he can really make that time up on a net gain, essentially doing a supreme undercut, I suppose, if you'd like to put it, because as you were saying, every corner he spent behind a car was time lost. If he can get out, if he can get out of that environment, get himself into some clearer air, less traffic, he should buy himself in the Nordschleife in his zone. He's going to gain so much time. Pair that with an axle of fresh tyres as well, or be that front for the for the grip, getting that turn in, or the rear for the traction confidence, whichever one he decides to go for. It's going to be a huge help. Could, I don't know, gain him 3, 4, 5, maybe more places.
Yeah, certainly so. It's very interesting to see where some of these battles are going to go, especially courtesy of the pit window, whether a lot of these drivers are going to pit immediately, whether they're going to leave it to the end of the window. This is actually the only circuit where I won't accept someone going past the window and be like, oh well, easy mistake to make. But around here it is kind of an easy mistake to make, going one lap too long, because sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it. Because you kind of think, oh, I'm driving around, there's 22 minutes left to go in the race, which means there's ages until the pit window closes. Oh wait, hang on a second. And there's only 7 minutes until the pit window closes. Well, it takes more than 7 minutes to do a lap. So it's kind of the only one where I'm like, maybe there is a bit of precedent. But still, there is Yuval Rosen, probably a little embarrassed maybe about the start of the race, maybe angry about the start of the race, maybe he feels that someone else did him wrong, maybe he feels that he did wrong and is like, look, honestly, there's nothing I can do about it now, I don't really care. He's going to put a decent move on Kovalevsky as we rise up towards Flugplatz. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, beautiful, nice and committed, and he's going to be happy with that move for sure. It took bravery to do. Kovalevsky, of course, not wanting too much of a fight with that one. Again, it's a fight for 17th place, not a championship win, so not overly worth it for the pole. But yeah, maybe Rosen is a little bit frustrated. Maybe he's angry at himself, but it's a sim racer. How much of that blame does he put on himself? How much does he put on the sun being in his eyes, or his brake pedal being faulty, or anything like that? There's, for most sim racers, there probably is an excuse. I'm sure Rosen will own up and say, to be fair, maybe I could have been a little bit less aggressive considering it is an hour-long race. But past the past, you cannot let that be on your mind if you want to succeed on your redemption drive. I'm sure Julian Kunze has just completely forgotten about it and is now like, okay, what's the situation? Let me drive. Luciano Vitfort under a ton of pressure from Marius Sabdir there as they continue their battle with the Hungarian of Noj. Putting him under a little bit of pressure is Sabdir. Vitfort maybe looking in his rearview mirrors a bit too much. However, he still knows that even if they do swap positions, he's more than safe.
Yeah, certainly so. I mean, we're saying that now. We know that. Maybe Luciano Vitfort doesn't know that. Maybe he doesn't. I mean, this is the kind of thing. It's so easy to be like, oh, well, on all these big championships, everyone knows every little bit of data and stat and whatever. And to be fair, for Luciano Vitfort, he might be trying to work some of it out in his head. He might know. He might be able to work it out pretty quickly. To be honest, sometimes I found it when it comes to the whole championship situation stuff. Having discussed it with a few drivers and stuff. If you're going for a championship, and it's not for some massive 50 grand prize or something. If you're just going for the championship, and it's a bit of fun, a bit of lighthouse, don't think about it. Turn off the points. Turn off that championship mindset. Just go for whatever it is you do. Treat it like a normal race. You can only finish as high as you can finish, right? You can only go as fast as you can go. Why try and overdo it or underdo it? Just do what you're doing. Just get after whatever it is you're going for. Although it might remove you from doing moves like this. Here comes Luciano Vitfort then. He was looking for a move down the inside of Balázs Noj, and there's been contact between the top two. Into the barrier, Luciano Vitfort's going to go, and straight through goes Marius Sabdir, Rui Felipe, and Sebastian Ray. Well, there we go. That was just a little bit too sketchy. So 4th place for Marius Sabdir now, 37 points. The 7th place that Luciano Vitfort's running is 30. Things are still okay for Luciano Vitfort right now. But if Marius Sabdir makes up one more position, he will win the championship by a point.
That's huge. Huge news for the championship. Luciano Vitfort needs to get a move on, needs to hope that he's not overly struck by that tap to the barrier. It was quite a hefty one, to be fair. Vile Cravey as well might be eyeing up a move if the Finn can get close enough. Sabdir now has the ball in his court. Noj, he's just that guy. He's just the bystander. He doesn't really have any part in this championship apart from just trying to score a podium. Sabdir knows what's at stake. He's been given this opportunity, and now it's drive time. He's got to get ahead of the Hungarian. Anything more than that, completely unrealistic. Blankenberg, Mikovic, I think they are secure in the top 2 unless something drastic happens. Luciano Vitvet, though, could it be, you know, third time? Definitely not the charm in terms of championship wins. There is our race leader, of course, of Blankenberg. We've not really seen him too much because he's just doing too well, which is the best case scenario for him, of course. But in terms of the championship, oh, Vitvet, it seemed like it was of his own volition. He just got a little bit out of shape, trying to back out of that move. Or was there contact?
I think there was definitely contact. There was absolutely contact between himself and Mariusz Zabdi. It's just who do you blame for it? Because Mariusz Zabdi is going into what is near enough a flat-out corner. Yeah, obviously a bit of maybe tapping the brake. Yeah, it's a fast corner. You don't expect someone to yank on the brake. So it's kind of, like I say, there's a lot of different sides of it. You'd have to see it from their point of view. Unknown right now, but it wasn't pretty. Let's go with that. I will say Luciano Vitvet probably isn't going to get passed by Villacrevi, most notably because Villacrevi is also driving for Gaffer Chain Balance Esports. And I think they'll be like, wow. As much as there's not any major team orders, it's still your teammate and he's still going in the championship. So don't. So I don't think there'll be too much happening there. I think Villacrevi will probably look out for the intentions of his teammate. But yes, that was sketchy. Now, if you are Luciano Vitvet, do you just come straight into the pit lane?
Yeah, I would, because then you've got one lap that's just, you know, you write off the whole lap, and then you can just carry on fresh. Because in his head, he's had a spin, he's lost loads of time, and then if he waits a lap, he's going to then, you know, I suppose in his head maybe lose more time on another lap. For me, it's always just better to bite the bullet. If you've had a spin and the pit window's open, come in, get it over and done with, start fresh on a new stint, and see where you can get to. Maybe gain some more time. We've got Florian Vutric on the back of Mish as well in the fight for 12th. It's Mercedes versus Mercedes, and it's just sheer slipstream power that sees the Swiss pull out to the right-hand side and should, in theory, find his way past with the slingshot ahead of Gasper Mish as well. But yeah, if I was Vitvet, I'd be straight into the pit lane and seeing what he can do on a fresh axle of tyres.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see Luciano Vitvet coming down to that final sector. There is Vutric making his way through. Now, Luciano Vitvet's not come into the pit lane, and I was going to disagree with you, Mr. Sweeney, using my experience in the world of sim racing, my age, my mentality, my maturity.
Oh, really?
Luciano, yeah, exactly. We'll go with it anyway. Luciano Vitvet needs to cover off one person in this race, and that's Mariusz Zabdi. And if Mariusz Zabdi is staying out on the circuit, it's kind of one of those things like if you're trying to outscore that person, then you need to do something different. But Luciano Vitvet doesn't. He needs to score, but he's okay here. He could do with a couple of extra positions. But realistically, if he just does the same with Mariusz Zabdi from now, he's probably going to be in good position as Gaspar Mish and Ontis make a little bit of contact. Ontis coming over the nose a little bit of that Mercedes, and now we'll lose this on the exit of the Mercedes arena section. Maybe not. Somehow the pair of them not going anywhere near the racing line, and both of them not really coming out of it particularly quickly. Ontis ahead, though, in 12th position. So 4 more people to add to the pit stop. You've got Rosen, you've got Root, you've got Vutric, and you've got Bernd into the pit lane, all to make their one required stop. But yeah, like I say, if you're Luciano Vitvet, just cover up to do what same with Mariusz Zabdi is doing.
Can't go wrong then. You know, there's no point taking. I do suppose that. I didn't really think of that.
Age
side of
and
things.
Experience.
Age and experience. No, because now I've learned a valuable lesson, Lewis.
Exactly.
So it's fine. I live and learn.
You only learn that when you win championships. Like
I have done actually.
Yeah, but
at a very, very low level, but I have won championships on actually 2 different platforms. So
have you?
Yeah.
I also have won on 2 different platforms.
Have you? How many championships?
2.
3. Boom.
Yeah, one of them.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, because you've raced against Kevin Siggy and
I've raced against Oscar Hardwick and others. Yeah, we'll just go with that. I've actually you're commentating on a championship where I've beaten everyone on the grid, so obviously not consistently. I'm making myself sound as if I'm like
have done it though.
The top level of sim racing. I'm definitely not, but I do have some trophies, so take some of that.
It's true, and you've got a trophy for commentary as well, which I don't have.
2.
So, yeah, exactly.
Hey,
so,
we don't like that.
oh yeah, you've got a trophy. No, it's only Arjuna that's got one.
Yeah.
You're just better. You're just the better one. It's fine.
Exactly. But it's fine. I constantly rub it into all of my friends. it's just natural. Anyway, we should probably focus on the race.
Ego. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I'm very much egotistical. Let's go with that.
Nice. Awesome. Anyway, the race, we're approaching the halfway mark, and we've still got a very intense championship battle on our hands. Commentators' pride aside, it's very much a battle for pride out on the circuit. And also, to be fair, talking of trophies, the winner of the championship gets himself a nice Royal World trophy as well.
Which is not bad, not bad. I mean, I've always said when it comes to, if I had the choice between a little bit of cash, which the championship that I'd be winning would only ever give out a little bit of cash, rather than 50 grand, or a trophy, I would take the trophy every single day of the week, because there is something about holding something that you've earned that kind of it is different. That said, I have held some of the other drivers' trophies and stuff like that. They're much more impressive than the ones I've got. It's always nice to have a trophy or something to take from the championship, something physical to put on your mantelpiece, to have other people that you bring around the house ask, "What's that?" And you go, "Please don't ask me about it. It's about my hobby. Let's not go into it. We'll move on." Colin Blankenberg will again continue to come around. We're about halfway through this race now, and just continues to charge away from the field. Although the gap seemed to stabilise a little bit to Mickey Vic. I think that's more out of pace control from the pair between Blankenberg and Mickey Vic. I think if Blankenberg wanted to go a little bit faster, he probably could find a little bit more time. If Mickey Vic wanted to go a little bit faster, I think he could find a little bit more time. They're both just sort of driving around pretty much on the limit. I'm not saying they're driving a couple of seconds off pace, because they're definitely not. I don't know if you saw Blankenberg's lap times. He's pretty quick around here.
Yeah, he's doing all right, I suppose. Not too bad, and on home soil as well. So he's trying to impress on both fronts. But yeah, we've spoken to drivers, of course, and we say, oh, when you're trying to drive consistently, do you drive for 75, 80%? And they're like, nah, it's close to the limits I can get. 95, 97% of what you can do. Because for them, if you actively have to slow yourself down, it's another thing you have to think about, and therefore another thing you can mess up. Whereas if you just drive naturally how you want to drive, which is brake as late as you can, get on the power as early as you can, and drive in the best way possible, you are naturally going to be consistent, because that's what you're trained to do. If you then slow yourself down, in theory, trying to not make as many mistakes, at least for me and a number of drivers I've spoken to, obviously it's not going to be the same for everyone, but chances are you are actually going to make more mistakes than if you just drove how you normally drove. So I think Blankenberg and Mickey Vic, yeah, they've got a little bit on the table. Naturally, it's the Nordschleife, and they're not going to be sending it into every corner. Maybe a little bit of lifting coast and trying to be a little bit cautious, but there's maybe half a second on the table, maybe a little bit more, because it's the Nordschleife and things, it's a little bit longer, but maybe not even that much.
No, I think the point you make is absolutely spot on. I think they'll be driving, like I say, I think it'll be close to 99 to 98% in that kind of range, because if you try and do it mid-race, no practice of trying to do it, but if you try mid-race, fuel saving, like quite fairly aggressive fuel saving, where you're lifting off and then trying to actually make the most of that, it is actually really difficult, and normally will invite quite a few mistakes, because the car doesn't react the same way. I mean, there are some corners in motorsport where it is easier to do it at full speed than it is to lift. Best example of that is Eau Rouge and Radiant, because obviously, in every car these days pretty much it's flat out. But even if there's a few cars, because I've done it in a few cars where it's just flat, right? And so you kind of think, okay, it's your first lap, go easy, have a slight lift. You will crash.
Oh yeah.
It is much harder to do. It's easier to thread the eye of the needle than it is to kind of try and make it easy for yourself. And it's those kind of things where it's like it is actually easier to keep driving at the limit, because the car is predictable. It is doing what it is designed to do, and anything below that causes problems. Quite a lot of damage on the front of Marvin Ackerberg's car. I'm sure that's acting like a normal race car.
Probably not. Hopefully it is just a little bit of an indent on the front and there's no steering geometry and things, because that's usually the fear when it comes to damage, is that you've got excessive toe in or toe out, and you know you're 90 degrees on the steering wheel going in a straight line. Marius Zabdir under pressure from Sebastian Ray. The green monster goes to the right hand side trying to get himself ahead of the pole, and this is exactly not what Marius Zabdir wants. He needs to be getting after the Hungarian of Noj and not be looking in his rearview mirrors and fighting with Sebastian Ray. They run their way in towards Tiergarten, and it is going to be Zabdir that stays ahead for now, but every position lost is less chance that he can come out on top in the championship. He needs to be getting further in front and getting some more positions, as here comes Mikovic and Zabdir into the pit lane. Let's see what Vitfit does.
Yeah, this is really the penultimate time for them to come into the pit lane, because they're able to pit next time, but then the time after that they will not have the time to come into the pit lane. A lot of people going fairly safe in that. Guillaume Vigneron staying out on the circuit, like I say, Balázs Nagy, Colin Blankenberg, basically everyone behind into the pit lane. For Luciano Vitfit, it's a smart call. Just come into the pit lane at the same point of Marius Zabdir. Don't take any risk. Take the 2 tyres. Get on with it. At the moment, things are looking good, especially because Marius Zabdir was feeling a lot of pressure towards the end of the stint there and was not applying the pressure where he needed to. This driver, again, continues to cruise. We've seen a lot of positive over Colin Blankenberg over the last sort of like 4 or 5 months, to the point where, to be honest, if he was contending for the championship in Season 2 of 2023 in the RaceRoom Ranked Championship, I wouldn't be surprised. He's certainly a driver that's moving his way consistently towards the front, and maybe that win in the championship finale can give that final extra little push. I'd said I'd be giving a couple of little bits throughout the broadcast of hints about the new season. I will certainly give you another one. In fact, I'll go through the 3 that I've given out before and give you an extra bonus 4th one as well. Again, a reminder to everyone that there will be a Season 2 of the RaceRoom Ranked Championship in 2023. It will return in October, just a month's time. The season will run over into the new year. We'll take a short break over Christmas and we'll have the finals in January of 2024. And also, there will be one class that we've had in Season 1 returning for Season 2. Always said before, let us know which one you think is going to be, whether it's going to be the GT3 Pro Series, the KTM GTX Trophy, or the Mazda MX-5 Cup. And the final one I want to say is this season we've run it where all 3 championships take part of the same circuit. So we start at Autodrome Most, we then move to Road America, then to Brno, and of course all 3 championships have been here to the Nürburgring Nordschleife. That is not happening next season. Each series will have different tracks for Season 2, so there will be 12 circuits in total. Where do we think we're going to go racing? How many of those 12 will Zach Sweeney know, and why will it only be 3?
You're being really nice to me today.
Thank
3
you.
whole tracks. That is
3 of the 12.
I'm learning, Ian. That's progress.
How many circuits did you know this season? Just 2?
2, just the 2. Yeah. I did, the 2 in the Czech Republic, Autodrome Most and Brno, no idea until we were going there and I was doing my prep and I actually watched.
So funny.
Good thing is though, is that they're, well, I say hidden gems. I mean, the Czech Republic's not massive in terms of exposure.
And everyone else in sim racing knows.
But everyone else in sim racing knows about it. They're hidden gems for me because I actually really enjoyed them. So maybe I do need to expand my knowledge of tracks just a little bit more. But yes, I knew Road America and I did know the Nordschleife. So hopefully the guys at RaceRoom are going to be very nice and give some good old Zach Sweeney approved tracks. If not, it's fine because I'm sure this is going to be a fantastic season going forward. Of course, we've got one returning class. Is it going to be the MX-5s? Is it going to be the KTMs? Is it going to be the GT3s? Colin Blankenberg is going to be hoping so.
I will say, everyone sat at home will obviously not know this, but when I started coaching Mr. Zach Sweeney here, there were quite a few tracks which he definitely should have known about, but he didn't know about. Most notably was Thruxton, and I still I'm still, even to this day, I'm absolutely baffled that he didn't know what Thruxton was.
It's a good circuit.
Great. Well, actually, no, it's not. No, it's actually kind of bad.
It's alright.
It's not. It's terrible. Let's just talk championship-wise, by the way, because have you noticed the big change? Luciano Vitfit is ahead of Marius Zabdir post-pit stop. I think, would Marius Zabdir have taken 4 tyres there? I don't think, no, because the time is not enough difference. There's only like 10 seconds between the pair of them. Obviously, it was like 4 or 5 before the pit stop. So there's a switch of about 15 seconds. It could be 4 tyres.
Do you gain?
Yeah, I don't know.
do you gain 15 seconds back from an extra?
Well, I think...
I guess
Mario
Zab's got
zapped
nothing
it.
to lose.
Zabdin might, because he was really struggling toward the end of the stint on his tyres.
True.
I don't know. How fascinating.
Very. Very. And again, it goes back to what you're saying about if you need to gain points, do something different. If you don't, do the same. So I guess that's Zabdir's last hope of maybe gaining a ton of time. But even then, he's what? 9 seconds off the Sebastian Ray train. You've got Marvin Mackenberg and Vigneron still to come in. I still don't think it's doable, but it's worth a try, I guess. Especially the Nordschleife, to have a full, fresh set of tyres, you could gain a decent bit of time.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, if everyone is typing in chat and stuff about how these commentators don't know anything, and it's obviously because of this, you know, he had some damage because of that, and he had to do this. We are idiots. You're absolutely right.
Especially
I have no defence for that. But I will say, have you noticed how the Nordschleife looks like a hog's head? Okay, so where all the train of cars are at the top, obviously you can see here we've got some side-by-side between Mikiewicz and Sebastian Ray. Where they've just come out and where all the cars are running around now, that's one of the ears. The one to the left of that is the other ear, and they're driving now up to the snout, to the nose of the pig.
Oh, I'm with you.
And then they come down into the Klein's Carousel before they head through Galgenkopf and onto the Duttinger Hoa. That's the mouth. And it's just got the tiniest body, or potentially even half a bow tie.
We'll go with
there we go.
Nice. We'll go with the most because it's a posh piggy.
It's a posh piggy. There we go. I have successfully ruined the Nordschleife for everyone. So that's fun. That one was ruined for me by a person called Jake Cooper. And that was a few years ago. And yeah, no, once you notice it, it's like you can't unnotice it. And every time I see the Nordschleife, I'm looking at it being like, yeah, it does look like a hog. It's really funny. Oh dear. Well, successful. It's been a successful broadcast and a successful championship if that's all I've achieved going through it. Enjoy that one. Everyone watching and those behind the scenes.
Yeah, cheers guys, appreciate it. We have got some people, well, a person, we've got A+ Sim Racing saying he will never be able to not see the hoghead now, thanks. Lewis McGlade, he's successful, he can sign off the season. Very, very proud. And of course, with the 12 new tracks we get for Season 2, I'm sure there's probably 1 or 2 that he can ruin there as well.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to clip that and put it into my show reel.
Of course.
Just that explanation there about...
That's influence on the entire industry, that is. That is prime show reel quality.
Yeah, exactly. Top level. That's just going to be my show reel for the new year. There is 20 minutes left to go in this race, meaning we have one more lap. Well, this is the last time for them to come into the pit lane, because obviously anything past this will extend past the pit window sequence. So we know that we'll see Colin Blankenberg, Balázs Noz, Guillaume Vigneron and Marvin Mackenberg all into the pit lane this time by. And so they'll drop their way down the order. Although I can tell you that Colin Blankenberg will drop his way down the order all the way to first place, because I don't see him relinquishing the lead to Sebastian Ray. So it's been, like I say, quite impressive. I was interested to see Matej Mikiewicz behind Sebastian Ray and has been unable to pass. I thought that was going to actually be a pretty easy pass for Mikiewicz.
I would say so as well, but again, it's the Nordschleife, where there is Sebastian Ray, there is Mikiewicz in his McLaren. A little bit of a wiggle there from Sebastian Ray, just to bring him back over to the left-hand side of the circuit, weaving around. Definitely intent on defending this position, but, well, look at that speed of that McLaren 720S. It pulls out. That is white lining to the extreme. I don't know if Sebastian Ray's interested in putting up too much of a fight. If he is, he's not being very good at it, because Mikiewicz just completely drives past him, up now into what is effectively a net P2. Yeah, that was quite nice from Mikiewicz. That was very scary from Sebastian Ray. That was the ultimate. Just pass on that side, mate. Just get on with it. I'll see you later. And Mikiewicz will head up into 5th position. But once they all come through the pit lane, Colin Blankenberg will come out in the race lead as expected. The rest will drop down the order. Mikiewicz will take over 2nd place. Not only has Blankenberg retaken or held the race lead post pit stop, he's held it by an enormous margin, which tells me that Mikiewicz definitely took to all 4 tyres through that stop. Obviously, Mikiewicz is not going to be able to close up on Blankenberg, but
should still be able to do I think it was the safer run. When you've got such a large gap to those behind, you might as well go for it. Luciano Vitt, the driver here, 5th place in the race, ahead of Marvin Mackenberg, ahead, of course, of Marius Zabdir, and in position to take the Season 1 championship here in the GT3 Pro Series. Yellow flags come out courtesy of Florian Witterick, who's been around over the nose of Oliver Bent.
Yeah, and that is a shame. Of course, for the Mercedes. Very nice livery, it must be said. I do like the black and the blue. It looks awesome. And yes, I can see those two.
I was just about to make that joke.
So it's fine. But yes, he's doing all right. Unfortunately, his move into turn 1 probably wasn't the best of his driving, but at least he looks nice while he's doing it.
Colourblind awareness.
Self-aware, yeah.
It's just, I was literally, it was on the tip of my tongue. I was about to be like, are you sure you can tell what colour that is? But no, it's fine. He can.
Psychic.
He can. Very, very good. Very, very impressed. Just to clarify, Zach Sweeney is actually colourblind.
Well, we think. I've not had a doctor tell me I'm colourblind.
Yeah,
but I did write half of my GCSEs in a green pen thinking it was black.
And swiftly afterwards, I sat down and we did one of those colourblind tests, which you failed immediately.
Also, the amount of people I've punched from a green car thinking it's yellow as well.
I mean, that's the thing, is that you'll never see the Manti livery in all its glory.
I can't. That is vaguely yellow to me.
Well, it is yellow. I mean, to be fair, the Manti Porsche, it's kind of green.
The bonnet's yellow. Green. The bonnet
is green. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can see that. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm normal. Maybe I'm actually okay.
Look, you've got to accept that your options are either I am colourblind or I'm an idiot. It's one of the two. So you choose between yourself. Sebastian Ray, though, comfortably in the 3rd position right now. He's got 3 seconds behind off the rear wing of the Manti Porsche to Balázs Nagy. Guillaume Vigneron defending from Marius Zabdir, who now finds himself in 9th position in the race. And of course, a little bit down the road from him is Julian Kunze. What a recovery drive that is. That has obviously come from an earlier pit stop from Kunze. Has worked his way comfortably inside the top 10. Genius stuff. As we head up towards Ardenau Forst, there is looks all over the rear end of Vigneron's car from Marius Zabdir, who's hungry to get past.
He is indeed, and obviously we suspect he has taken all 4 tyres at the stop. He can see Julian Kunze just ahead. He can also see Rui Felipe just a couple of seconds ahead. However, time firmly not on his side. You can see the pit window closes in 50 seconds, but that's not going to be a problem. Everyone has taken their mandatory stop. Marius Zabdir is going to be looking to get himself ahead of the Frenchman. He chucks the move to the inside of the very fast left-hander. No move through yet, but with only 15 minutes left to go in this race, and Zabdir's advantage on those fresh tyres, will over the course of, the more corners he goes through, the less advantage he's going to have. He's going to want to get a move on if he wants any chance of, at the very least, beating Witfoot in this race.
Yeah, certainly so. As they head into the final quarter of an hour of the season, the pit window is obviously going to close, but everyone has been into the pit lane and everyone has taken their mandatory. I thought Lapinic, by the way, was out of the race. He's not. He's still going. After doing 2 stops, you can see the retirements there at the rear of the field. You've got De Winter, you've got Prindi, you've got Ornelas and Tokar, all retirements from the final race of the season as they head their way through. We go red as the pit window has officially closed. There will only be, 2 laps after this. They will definitely have enough time to do 2 laps afterwards, so we're 2.5 laps away for the RaceRoom Ranked Championship being done in its entirety. We obviously waved goodbye to the MX-5s, waved goodbye to the KTMs, and now we get to wave goodbye to the GT3 Pro Series as well. It's a sad time.
It is, but the good thing is that because we start in October, we don't have that long to wait. I mean, essentially we've got just a little bit more than 1 cycle of the 3 classes. Here's Vigneron and Zabdir. Outside line for the Callaway, does a beautiful job, and Vigneron's got no answer to the fresher tyres and the speed of Zabdir, who works his way up into 8th place. And yes, we are towards the end of this season, but he's trying to finish it off. If it's not the championship, he's getting himself as high up as he can.
Yeah, certainly so. You can see that defensive line now being taken as we come up the top of the hill. I say at the top of the hill, we're not quite there yet. Once we get past Hoa Act, that's when we're at the absolute tippy top of the circuit. But I would suspect that this is the part of the circuit now where Marius Zabdir is going to pull away from Vigneron fairly comfortably. This is always, I've always said this before with the Nordschleife. I can do the first part of it, and to be fair, all the way up until here, absolutely fine. past this point, it's a mystery. Every single lap, I just completely forget where I am. But I think part of it is because surviving this part of the circuit is actually quite tricky. But also, by this point, you've been driving for 5 minutes, and your brain has just turned into mashed potato. And so you go through all of this, and quite a lot of it kind of looks the same. So, you go through this bit into a left, into a right, into a right, which looks very similar to a little bit later on. And you're just like, I just can't keep up with this, because that actually on approach looks like YouTube corner. Anyway, Philip Cravy's had a bit of an issue, which is a shame because he was running quite well earlier.
He was, up in the top 7 at the very least, and now he's got no bumper at the front end of his car. He's going to fall outside the top 15 as Vutric finds his way past. He's going to be crawling his way on the inside of the circuit, keeping nicely out of everyone's way, but to no prizes, I think, for the Porsche. And again, is a shame, but at least for Gatchain Balance Esports, they still have Luciano Wittfurt running really well in that fight for 5th. We have got Kunze, not the recovery driving one, the other one, who is fighting at the moment with Sen for 16th, but pockets of battles as we head away in towards the very final stages of this race.
I mean, you say not the recovery one, but Nico Kunze's also had his fair share of recovery, because he was also one that was backwards in T1 with all the others. So he's still recovering in himself. Luciano Wittfurt, by the way, has, to speak of his consistency through the championship, has been on the podium in all of the races thus far this season. Will not be finishing out the season in the same way. Has to defend from Rui Felipe and Julian Kunze over the final few phases, and I kind of get the feeling he will see Marius Abdir at least once more through the season. He's currently running in 5th place. Zach, what is this livery? What does this livery remind you of? What is it based on?
It's my absolute favourite driver. It's good old James Baldwin, who I did spend a little bit of money on a poster for that I never actually got to hang up because someone spilled coffee on it before I actually managed to get a frame for it. So I didn't even get to enjoy it. But yes, when James Baldwin was racing in the British GT Championship, I did really like that livery because it's a nice livery, it's a nice car, and well, a nice little bit of a battle as Kunze finds his way alongside Rui Felipe.
It's also got a bent rear wing. No, what I was actually leaning towards was it's obviously based on Jenson Button's Brawn GP car from 2009.
Yes.
Now
that's what I was testing you.
It's fine. No, of course you were. Of course you were. Now, do you know what position Jenson Button finished in to win the championship?
Win the championship. It was
finished
Brazil.
Yes. Finished 5th. It's where Luciano Wittfurt's running right now. Maybe it's destiny. It's probably not. It's probably just coincidence. But also, Luciano Wittfurt doesn't need to finish in 5th place. He can finish a little bit further down. But still, it's just it's a nice whatever.
It's cool.
I don't. Oh, Nico Kunze into the barrier. Ouchie, ouchie, ouchie. He'll cut across the inside. He'll probably lose out to all of those positions here. So even behind Christian Orban, Roland and Florian Vutric, and whether he was assisted for that, we don't know. Coming back into it, Christian Orban's trying to get his way past Roland Sen.
He is indeed, and well, side by side between the two of them, of course, the Mercedes of the Swissman of Sen. You can see the Porsche of Christian Orban, very successful in the MX-5 Cup a little bit earlier on. A couple of weeks ago was the final round. He's definitely showing some similar success, maybe in the GT3s as well, picking his way up the inside going into turn number 1. Back up to this fight though, Luciano Wittfurt. Is he going to be able to seal his destiny with a 5th place championship win, or is he going to fall victim to Julian Kunze, who, as we've said, has had a absolutely brilliant drive. It begs the question: would Blankenberg be winning if Kunze didn't crash? And how good of that battle would it have been? But I suppose shoulda, coulda, woulda, all these different things could have happened. But definitely think Blankenberg and Kunze, they'd have been close.
They would have been close. Also, I like how you're making it sound like it was Kunze's fault. I really appreciate that. No, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm just saying
involved in a crash.
It's been a tumultuous run for Luciano Wittfurt around the Nordschleife over the last couple of weeks, because of course he is actually the driver that's been in contention for all 3 of the championships. He finished up one shy. He finished up shy rather of Philip Dries. Of course, he finished one shy of Enzo Filipao in the KTM GTX Cross Race. He's been finishing in second. He's finishing runner-up in the championship, not winning championships. It would have been painful to see him finish in the same place once again. he needs to be wise here not to let another one slip through his fingers. And see that, he not taking any risk. Julian Kunze looks down the inside, he lifts out of it, bam. Just get on with it, mate. Just get on with it. Just go. See you later.
Yeah, Vitve, it's the right thing. Kunze was coming through whether you liked it or not. The pace in that Mercedes is absolutely insane. Vitve to fight that would have just been, you know, risking a crash, because the Nürburgring, you know, fighting that hard can oftentimes, you know, result in quite a high-speed crash. It'd bring Felipe in, which is another variable, Marius Zabdir in, and then if there was a crash and Vitve lost loads of places and Zabdir was involved in that fight, you know, we hype it up as, you know, it might not have been that deep, but it could have been, and it's not exactly a risk that Luciano Vitve really wanted to be involved in. Let Kunze through, 5th place, 6th place, doesn't matter, it's the championship either way. He doesn't really care, because at the end of the day, if he wins the championship, he gets the VIP, which is RaceRoom's currency that you know, used to buy all the extensive cars and tracks that are on offer, and then also that real world trophy as well to go his way for the GT3s, which he's done a lot of hard work to get, as you say, across all 3 championships. Unfortunately, he might only be able to win the one. He probably will only win the one, thanks to clever driving like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, hopefully he will win the one for his sake. But we'll have to wait and see. Gaspar Miss having the issues on the rear end from Oliver Bent, penultimate lap of the race and of the season, as they head their way down to Callanhard. No real opportunity to make a move at this point on the circuit as we head our way through Benton Chicane, through Miss through the Siphon, and then up to Exmuller, which I'd say is the next opportunity for a potential move, if not to force a mistake. We've always seen a mistake in this race, courtesy of an issue there. That one was Marius Zabdir much earlier in the race, the very first lap of the race, having an issue at Exmuller, as Villa Cravey having an awful lot of understeer, as Roland Sen is backwards. Oopsie daisy. Oh, and he's gone for a full spin. Beautiful.
He's having fun.
It's not the place for donuts.
Are we good? I think we're good. Can I breathe? Yeah, we're good. We're fine. Yeah. Okay.
He wasn't celebrating. Let's just go with that.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure. I don't think he was celebrating. I mean, it's where you're on, because it's such because this is going very much downhill. It doesn't. I mean, it does. It's even more downhill than you think. When you're going to flick spin it back round on that, it's very easy to overdo it.
Yeah, fair enough. And maybe just, you know, can't really throw it down a bit too quickly. And then, you know, when he gets to a point where he can't actually correct it straight, it's just easy to go around again, I suppose.
Yeah. It looked sick.
It did. It looked very cool. Style points and near miss points as well. So, do you just bear poggers?
I did say bear poggers. Oh. Yeah, no, he's playing Burnout Paradise while everyone else is playing racing. It's absolutely fine. But he did get those near miss bonus points. So
well, because is it bear piggers? Because we're at the Nordschleife.
Bear piggers. That is horrendous. Oh, was Marius Zabdir having contact with Rui Felipe? Felipe trying to keep Marius Zabdir at bay right now. Guillaume Vigneron rejoining in the fight. That was nearly very dramatic.
That was very close. Thankfully, Felipe has got a good set of hands on him, and he can very swiftly correct that Audi R8, and he's been able to keep it pointing straight. Marius Zabdir, though, pushing very hard in the final 5 minutes of this race. Guillaume Vigneron also wanting to maybe get himself up an extra couple of places to round off the season. But yeah, Zabdir not leaving anything on the table at all, and Felipe very lucky that he's decent at car control.
Yeah, certainly so. That was close. We'll go with it was close. And like you say, could have ended fairly poorly. And Marius Zabdir will be like, I just want to get on with this. I want to get past my championship rival and get on down the road. Although I've got to say, at the moment, things are not looking great for Marius Zabdir. They're looking very positive for Luciano Vitfort. I think even if Zabdir is able to get past Rui Felipe and Luciano Vitfort, I don't think he's going to be able to catch Jan Kunze, not with the 3-second gap there is, and only one more lap left on the clock, which means that the best Marius Zabdir can do in this race will be that 6th position. 6th position itself nets 32 points, and realistically looking at this, the worst that Luciano Vitfort's going to get is 9th from this race, which nets 26. That is just 6 points difference, which is not enough to overhaul the 9-point lead that presently Luciano Vitfort holds. They head through Galgenkopf for the penultimate time and onto the Dettinger Hohen.
Yeah, and Wittmer just has to keep it clean for one more lap of the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Easier said than done, sure, but he's done it for the last 56 minutes and 22 seconds, so I'm sure he's probably going to be okay. We have got Balázs Nagy under a little bit of pressure from Julian Kunze, who is going to pick his way past another place on his sensational run of form, up now to 4th place, and, well, with about 4 seconds up to Sebastian Ray. Could it well be a podium for the German? We'll soon find out. Rue Felipe as well on the back of Luciano Wittfurt, Marius Zabdir as well. Could he get the pair of them by the time we get to Tiergarten? And he might well be able to have a bit of a look. Marius Zabdir being covered off by Luciano Wittfurt as, very close as they head their way onto the brakes. Marius Zabdir might finish ahead of Wittfurt, but only this race.
Yeah, certainly. So as they head out onto the start-finish straight, also defence being made in the foreground, running through the shot is Julian Kunze trying to defend from Balázs Nagy, who Kunze just worked his way back through. You can see the defensive line being taken down to the first corner for the final lap, maybe overdone a little bit, but perfectly wrestled down towards the apex. For Julian Kunze, and the up and under maybe working here. The top two in the championship beginning their battle. Marius Zabdir trying to get around the outside of Luciano Wittfurt. He may not understand where the points stand at the moment, but surely he knows he doesn't need to finish ahead of Marius Zabdir. Zabdir definitely does on Luciano Wittfurt. They head their way to the exit of the Mercedes Arena section. The Callaway Corvette's going to come out just ahead, and it's Marius Zabdir working his way up into 6th position. A look down the inside from Luciano Wittfurt, who now heads back into the slipstream of that Callaway Corvette and will begin to breathe. One more lap around the Nordschleife and the title will go the way of Luciano Wittfurt.
It will do indeed, but he's not going down without a fight. Well, he's not even going down. He wants to fight with Marius Zabdir. I don't think he's quite going to have the measure to do that, because Zabdir, of course, with 2 extra fresh tyres compared to Wittfurt and a buttload of pace to go with it as well. Is Rue Felipe going to get himself ahead of Wittfurt? Again, Zabdir in 6th place, 32 points. The gap is 9, which means Wittfurt would have to finish 12th in order for them to match points, and then 13th for Zabdir to win. Of course, 13th is Bernd, who is a good 32 seconds back on Wittfurt. So as long as he keeps it clean, as long as he stays pointing the right way, he could go all the way to the back of this train and still come out on top. So no pressure for Zabdir, just drive a lap of the Nordschleife, easy peasy.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, there are easier circuits to navigate for one final lap of a season, but that's kind of why we put Nordschleife at the end of the championship. We want that difficulty, we want that extra little bit of fun. If this was the opening round of the championship and then it's kind of like you finish the championship at Most is a great track, but it's not big on, like, you know, it doesn't have that championship finale vibe. And so, like, having a championship, this absolutely does. For a track that ends a championship, you need to have a track which is skill-based, for sure, but is also a little bit open to chaos, because that's what makes it exciting. Who wants a boring season finale? You know what I mean? If we wanted a boring season finale, we'd go to Monza.
Oh.
I hate Monza.
Okay.
Just can't
right.
stand it. Just
Nice.
can't stand it.
But anyway, no, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
just suddenly, this is the Lewis McGlade fire shots at Monza part of the broadcast now. Can't stand it. It's boring. It's straights and chicanes. Same as. Okay, we ready? Le Mans.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I don't like Le Mans.
Le Mans has one objectively good bit of track, which is the Porsche curves, and the rest of it is kind of garbage.
Yeah, I agree. The thing I love about Le Mans is the spectacle, and it's going back to what I was saying earlier about good racetracks. You've got to have a good track and a good spectacle. Le Mans has got all of its eggs in one basket. I hate the track; it's dreadful. Anyway,
that's a great race though.
Yeah. Again, you know, the 24 hours Le Mans. It's a big event. It's nice. It's a good race, but it's just a horrible circuit. I just think, you know, Monza and a very big championship finale also happened there that you had the pleasure of commentating on, and it was quite a big thing, but it happened at Monza. Then again, it was a bit of an anticlimax with how it ended. Anyway.
Well, it's mostly because Moritz Lerner decided to fire one down the inside.
Yeah, exactly. Was it Ewan started screaming as well, which is even better.
Ewan was the one commentating it. I was the one that started screaming.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah,
that makes more sense.
It does. RaceRoom's own Moritz Lerner decided to bin one down the inside. It was a classic moment, so you know. Oh dear, it's a horrible circuit.
It is, yeah. like, well, I was gonna try and name them, but I don't know enough.
What other circuits are overrated? Everyone get in the chat, and if anyone, no, I'm not going to say it because I know people are still fine. No, don't. It's fine. We'll just. It's fine. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Zandvoort overrated. No, actually, I think Zandvoort's okay.
I think Zandvoort's alright. I like it. It's fun to drive. It's fun to drive.
I'll be going there next month.
Oh, nice. I'm proud of you. Good job.
Any Dutch people want to meet? Tough if you're working with them.
That's true. He's a very busy schedule.
Yeah. Well, here comes Rui Felipe then. Luciano Wittfurt feeling the pressure. Again, there's quite a lot of damage in the rim. I have to say, this rear wing damage must have come at this corner when he had contact with Mario.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I think he went front then rear sort of thing, didn't he? He went in front first, then skid around and tapped the rear. So maybe there would be more damage to the front, but there's not that much on the front. Obviously, the bent rear wing will be affecting things ever so slightly. Obviously, maybe an imbalance in terms of something I'm not clever enough to touch on. It will be making that race car drive not like the race car he's used to, and he has been maybe nursing a little bit of damage, but again, it's a scary moment. He's been able to brush it off, he's been able to chill, which is, you know, not bad for Luciano Wittfurt, and he's going to chill to a fairly easy 7th place despite that. But yeah, he's not exactly had an easy race, let's put it that way.
Oh, look at this all in chat. Hockenheim ring, definitely overrated. I agree.
No.
I agree. I think Hockenheim's a really mid-tier circuit. Spa is overused. Also agree. I've said this so many times in sim racing. I love Spa. I love Spa. The circuit in real life. And it is still good to drive, all that kind of stuff. But there comes a point through sort of June, July, and August where I actually become sick of the circuit and I don't want to see it again.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's used constantly.
Same with Daytona in January, February.
Yeah, no, definitely. Same with over racing in Indianapolis towards the end of May. We've only got a few more corners left to go. Colin Blankenberg is about to head on to the Duttinger Hoa for the final time. This has been a pretty bulletproof drive from him, isn't it? He's just not put a foot wrong. He's taken the 2 start tyres on the pit stop. He's just been cruising. Look at those lap times as well.
Consistency. That is mental. To be within sort of a second half of your fastest lap. He's done all right, and again we've done the occasional check-ins with him, but apart from that he's had a flawless race. And the fact we haven't seen him on broadcast, it can mean 2 things: either you've had an absolute stinker of a race, or you've completely dominated. Thankfully for Blankenberg, it's been the latter. He's been on fire since the start, picked his way through the carnage in the opening moments, obviously with Rosen and Kunze, and just said, cheers boys, ran away with it, opened up that 4.5 second gap on the opening lap alone, and since has just been in control, and well, he's going to be a very deserved winner of the final race of the season.
Yep, certainly so. Just a couple more corners left to go in the 2023 RaceRoom Rank Championship. Season 1, of course, of the year. The GT3 Pro Series will come to a close, and the final victory will be in the hands of Colin Blankenberg, who will cross the line as a winner at the Nordschleife and straight into Donut City. Matej Mikiewicz will also come through the final corner to take a very, very well-deserved 2nd place ahead of Sebastian Ray, who strategized and paced his way through the race beautifully to put that Manthey Porsche into 3rd. A great recovery drive as well from Julian Kunze after early issues. Balázs Nagy was in contention for that 4th place until Julian Kunze rolled up onto the scene. And then we get to the big ones. Mariusz Zabdir will be finishing 2nd in the championship, and that means the championship will go the way of Luciano Wittfurt. For Gata Chain Ballast Esport, Wittfurt's done the job through the season. Consistency pays off. 8th place here at the Nordschleife is enough to take a very well-deserved title. We'll see the final few finishers come up towards the line, and we'll read our way through the top 10. Blankenberg, Mikiewicz and Ray, then Kunze, Nagy, then we get Zabdir, Rui Felipe, Luciano Wittfurt, Guillaume Vigneron, and Yuval Rosen on his recovery drive into 10th place on the grid. We'll let those final few come across the line, Zach, but very impressive for Blankenberg, very impressive from Julian Kunze, from Luciano Wittfurt, good recovery drive as well for Yuval Rosen after early issues. A lot of positive stories about this season finale.
100%. Of course, Luciano Wittfurt, after missing out on the MX-5s and on the KTMs, he's been third time as the champ with the GT3s. He's won the championship, very deservedly so. He's been so consistent, and yeah, he done exactly what he needed to do today. Colin Blankenberg just so dominant. Didn't get the fast lap in the end, actually. That went to Mikovic, which, you know, but Blankenberg had the consistency all throughout the race, again, doing exactly what he needed to do. And obviously, yeah, Rosen and Kunze had their clash early on, but both of them just immediately put it behind them and just drove. They forgot about it and just said, okay, this is the situation, what can we do about it? Both of them netting some, both of them netting a top 10 finish, especially Yuli and Kunze, only a couple of seconds in the end off the podium, which is absolutely mega. But yeah, what a race, what a season, and well, thankfully we don't have too long to wait for a whole new one.
Yeah, certainly a great drive from Kunze there to have recovered to 4th position. Right up the road, the final few will be coming across the line very soon. You've got to say, Mikovic's lap time there is very, very impressive there with a 55.4. Incredibly impressive. We're just waiting for them to come across the line in their final positions, and then we can go through everyone in the actual order. But I mean, like I said, this is good. We'll talk about Wittfurt a little bit. A little bit of weight off the shoulders, as we've said before. Finished up, in the championship behind Philip Dries, behind Enzo Filipao in the other championships. Finally finishing up ahead. We can see the rest of the runners here: Marvin Mackenberg, Bernd, Nico Kunze, again another recovery drive. Christian Orban, Gaspar Misch, Florian Wüthrich. Then we get Orbital, and then Kovalevsky and Ontis, who had a pretty tumultuous drive here in the season finale to 20th. We saw him backwards a couple of times. The final few on the grid being Roland Sen, Dufek, Root, Villa Cravey. Then we have Lukic, Sven Mackenberg, who had a bit of a struggle today. Varga. There is another driver still out on circuit. Tokar, Ornelis, along with a couple of others being retirements from that final race of the season. But yeah, talk about the mentality for Luciano Wittfurt. Like I say, finally coming to the Nordschleife and finally winning after missing out on 2 consecutive championships. That would have been pretty painful coming into this.
Yeah, it would have been 100% for Luciano Wittfurt because, you know, he tried at the MX-5s. That wasn't his fault. You know, he disconnected. He couldn't get back into the session. You know, he didn't really have much of a say in that. He could have definitely won that championship. So to have that and to just go into the KTMs on that bad note and then lose the KTMs again after a hard-fought fight with Enzo Filipao. So coming into here, it was like, this is my last chance. I've got to make this work. Otherwise, I'm going to have to wait for the next opportunity. This was his final chance. Thankfully for him, he rose up to the occasion. He stood up. He did everything he needed to. And that's why I think we saw a very cautious Wittfurt today. We didn't see Luciano. Who usually, if there's a gap, he's going to fill it. If there's a place to be made, he's going to go for it. If there's pace on the table, he's going to chase that lap time. Instead, we saw a nice, calm, collected, composed champion in the form of Luciano Wittfurt, who said, I don't need this place. I'm just going to lift off. I'm going to let them through. I'm going to be nice and cautious, and I'm just going to do enough to win the championship and nothing more.
Yeah, certainly. So I'm just taking a look at some of the results. Marius Zabdir will end up finishing a few points shy of Marius Zabdir. The points that I'm seeing, I'm not 100% convinced by, because I think Marius Zabdir will be on 158. If again, try and do maths in your head. I always say never trust a commentator's maths, but I believe it's 158, and I believe that Luciano Wittfurt will be 6 points clear, 4 points clear, something in that vein. Basically, a little bit clear, but again, we're getting those points added up for us, so we will update you in a moment. But as far as we're aware, it'll be Luciano Wittfurt on top, and well deserved.
That's all you need to say, really. Luciano Wittfurt, the effort that he's put in this season, the bad luck he's gone through, he arrived, he did what he needed to, and he should be very proud of himself. Again, he gets some good VRP coming his way, of course, the in-game currency for RaceRoom. He gets 5,000 VRP, which is going to be plenty of cars and tracks for Luciano Vitford, which he's going to need because we have 12 unique ones coming the way for Season 2 of the 2023 RaceRoom Ranked Championship. And also, he gets himself a nice real-world trophy, which we've already touched on the sentiment of things, and I think that's definitely going to mean more to him. Something tangible that he can hold and appreciate and look at as, you know, a token of his efforts.
And hopefully not drop onto the floor.
That would help.
Yes, been there. We'll touch on the top 5 in the championship in their order. I'll go from front to back, because I was going to say go from back to front, but we already know who the champion is, so it doesn't really matter, does it? Luciano Vitford finishes first in this championship. Mariusz Zabdir in second. Marvin Mackenberg in third. With Julian Kunze on that recovery drive, fourth place, he will finish in the championship, one ahead of Balázs Nagy. Our top 5, of course, provisionally. Before, you know, everything's been looked at, everything's been double checked, I's dotted, T's crossed, but Luciano Vitford looks to have secured the championship. Third time really is the charm for Vitford. Before we wrap things up, I will touch on those things that I was speaking about earlier when it comes to Season 2, because the RaceRoom Ranked Championship will return in just a month's time. Season 2 will be in October. We can't wait for it, Zach, because I know, yeah, we love doing these ranked championships. There's always a lot of fun with them.
Oh, there is. You know, obviously, my predominant championship of the season was the MX-5s, which obviously you jumped in with me for round 3. So much fun with that, so much racing action. You know, the format that we had, the tracks that we had was so phenomenally good, well picked out, well thought about, and again, it goes down, you know, comes down as well to the drivers, the high caliber of drivers. And if you do want to get yourself involved, get into RaceRoom, do yourself some ranked races, build up your reputation, build up your skill rating as well, because, you know, it's a combination of both. You've got to be quick and be clean, and then the ratio of those two will then calculate the splits and things. But the good thing is that you don't necessarily need to be in the top split to have some fun with a ranked championship. There are plenty of opportunities. You'll always be with someone your own skill level, and everyone can have fun and everyone can enjoy the ranked championship as well, which I think is just even better.
Yep, community racing at its finest. Hopefully we'll see you in October as the new season begins. That is us done with the RaceRoom Ranked Championship Season 1 of 2023. It has come to a close, and our champion is Luciano Vitford. Obviously, we must commend our other champions in Enzo Filipao and also in Philip Dries. And we must thank all of those behind the scenes, most notably being Krista, of course, Captain Coffee, who's been bringing us the pictures all the way through the broadcast. There are the points as well for the top 5 in the championship: 149, 144, 129, 115 and 99 respectively for Vitford, Zabdir, Marvin Mackenberg, Julian Kunze and Balázs Nagy. From us in the commentary booth, from myself, Lewis McGlade, from Zach Sweeney this evening, and of course from the other commentators that have joined us, as much as it pains me to say, big thank you to Ewan O'Leary, to Cameron Roger, and of course to Dara Thacker, who's been joining us throughout the entirety of the GT3 Pro Series. They've all done a bit of a round each, and of course in the MX-5 Cup and the KTM GTX Trophy. From all of us behind the scenes at RaceRoom, we will see you again in October, and until then, have a very, very warm goodbye.
Do you also feel the same as this car enthusiast? He's reached his vehicle dream, but suddenly the original black wheels seem a bit boring. A colourful detail would add a lot more pep, and a little eye-catcher to match the paint would make the car perfect. Customization options don't only transform the wheel to visually match the vehicle, but also provides one-of-a-kind look on the road. The wheel color, rim protectors, center caps, valve caps, and even the wheel bolts can be configured and designed individually using style components of the new BBS Unlimited wheel system. And here's how it works. The BBS Unlimited base wheels are available in a total of 8 different colors, whether it be a glossy, satin or polished finish, or from a deep indigo blue to racing gold to a rich bronze. Rim protectors are a colorful detail to visually enhance the wheel, while preventing damage from curb contact. In addition, the rim protectors can easily and quickly be replaced and renewed at any time. In total, 6 different designs are available. The center cap completes the wheel. So how cool would it be if it could also be customized? BBS Unlimited Style makes this possible. It's available in 56mm and 70.6mm diameters and can be applied in a variety of ways with the BBS logo. The center cap is available in 2D or 3D embossing, as well as in several color variations. And with the 3D rotation cover, the BBS logo remains visible to everyone even when the car is in high gear. The valve caps complement the wheel in 6 different colors. This gives the individual wheel an even more coherent look. You can even choose the wheel bolt in the last step to match the wheel. Available in black, silver, and even titanium. With the help of the BBS Unlimited style components, you're able to create a work of art out of a conventional wheel, according to your own wishes and ideas. Just take a look at our configurator, and after a few clicks you can already start designing the perfect wheel for your vehicle. Do you have any questions about customization? Then contact the wheel expert now.